Hey everyone, and welcome to the Movement Collective podcast. I'm your host, Rod Cooper, and the owner of the Movement Collective. On this first episode, I wanted to take you back all the way to the start of TMC, or even before that, when TMC was just an idea. I'm going to talk about my movement background, how I got into opening up the Movement Collective, and all the different stories along the way. I've just got my laptop here in front of me, and I'm just looking through a few dot points that I put, and it's wild how many different memories have been popping up since I started to feel into this idea of telling the Movement Collective story. And I'm calling it the Movement Collective timeline. And it feels like this time has gone so quick, this last 7 years. So we just had our 7th birthday, and happy birthday TMC. 15th of April is TMC's birthday. And so much has happened in this time. Like I said, the time feels like it's gone so fast, but when I really slow down and feel into what's actually gone on in those 7 years, it is absolutely wild. So let's get into it. I'm going to share from around 2013 when I first discovered movement training. So I was here in Australia working a job in the brewing industry. And I worked as a brewer for about 7 years and really loved that job. And I just come up with this idea to move out of Australia and to discover the world kind of thing, like just to travel around, and had this idea. And I spoke with my mate Sean, and he was keen to come with me. And we decided on Canada. Super easy to get a working holiday visa, and we're going to go over there for 2 years. We didn't really know what the plan was. We knew we wanted to do a little bit of traveling down into the States, around Canada and things like that, go snowboarding, and just have a great time. And we definitely did that. So I was heading over there with a background in brewing, and I thought I'd get a job in the brewing industry, which I did. I worked for a company called Steamworks, and I worked there the whole time I was in Canada, basically. But I started to come up with these ideas that I wanted to open the Movement Collective. And these ideas sparked from training at a place called Origins Parkour. And before I left Canada, or for Canada, I was training at a CrossFit gym. And CrossFit really opened my eyes up to the possibilities of movement. I was loving doing the rope climbs and muscle ups on the rings and handstands and handstand walks. It was quite different to the bodybuilding style training that I was doing previously. So it really opened my mind up to like all these possibilities. And then when I discovered this place when we moved to Canada called Origins, it was something else again. It kind of broadened my perspective on what it was, what movement was, or what the human body was capable of. Because this place was just absolutely incredible. It had break dancers, it had trickers, it had circus performers and hand balancers, acro yoga, parkour, you name it, juggling, all these different types of things. And I was just kind of like, this is absolutely crazy. It just felt like a playground for adults. So I would go there, and I took a few classes over those couple of years that I was there, but it was mostly this open gym setup that really drew me to the place. It was a bunch of people, all different ages, all different disciplines, all there just to share their passion for movement, not only practicing individually and developing their own skills, but the environment that created was super powerful. So you would go there and everyone was just super friendly and willing to share their knowledge and their wisdom around what they had learned. So without even actually being like formal sort of teachers within inside the movement space or parkour, you could just basically learn from everyone. And I learned after training there for like probably 12 months and starting to get into it and doing my own research on YouTube and doing different programs that I was able to teach and share. And it was that moment that I realized that, everyone is a teacher. Everyone can be a teacher to any level. It's like you pretty much just need to be one page ahead of the person you're teaching to be able to share something with them. And I've really taken that throughout my movement journey, throughout these last 7 years for TMC. If I learn anything, even if it's marketing, even if it's like a little tip here that was helpful for me in my movement practice or my spiritual journey or anything, I'm quite willing to share that with someone without being the expert. I think there's this idea that you have to be at a certain level before you share it, but I really believe if you're just, that one page or one sentence, one paragraph in front of someone and you can help and share and support them in any way, I think it's really important to do that. So that was one thing that really drew me to this environment and this practice, that I was able to become the teacher. And I became the teacher from just dedicating the time and effort into my own practice. And people would see that. People would see that I'm so passionate about this and I've got something to share with them. The reason I want to do this podcast was to not only share the story, but also just to give you the lessons along the way. And one of the lessons that's coming up for me now is to share your journey. I started a Instagram account and started to share on Facebook as well what I was doing inside the movement space. I was sharing my mobility training, my handstands, my acrobatics, sharing when I would fail, when I would fall down and start to learn the skills. And eventually, with some training, with some practice, I would be able to do those skills. So a lot of people back home, before I even mentioned that I wanted to start up the Movement Collective and start to teach, I had already gotten a few people that were like following my journey, friends and family and other people on Instagram as well, just from all over the world, had seen the level that I started at and how I started to progress. And I think that it's really important for us to share that journey. And it's not only for you so you can look back and start to track your progress. It's always a good idea to film yourself and to get feedback in that way. It's such a good tool to use, but it's like this documentation that you can look back and see how far you've actually come, because sometimes when you're in it and you don't slow down enough to really absorb how much you've learned and how far you've come, we've got this idea in the Peace Timeline, this company that I'm working with, that you need to be walking up the mountain backwards, to be looking down. So not only progressing and growing, but you're not only looking up to kind of look to where you're going, but you look back to where you've come. And I think that using or utilizing Facebook and Instagram and other methods of filming and sharing photos and videos is such a beautiful way to do that, to see where you've come and also to inspire others. That's another important thing as well, because it only takes one video or one post for someone to see that and for them to start to believe in themselves, so they can start to, take the right steps and start to walk up that mountain and take their own journey. So I really think that that's been super powerful for me, starting out movement in the beginning, and also, just running through the last 7 years of sharing the Movement Collective's journey through Instagram, through Facebook, and through YouTube as well. So I really encourage you to do that for yourself and for others as well. So just keep sharing, keep sharing, keep sharing. All right, so I was training at not the Movement Collective. I was training at Origins Parkour, and I just got really inspired to train and to share. And I'd go there every afternoon after working at the brewery. I would start at 6, finish at 2, and then I would spend pretty much my whole afternoon, hours and hours, just hanging out with the guys, training, learning. And after doing some research and looking on YouTube and just trying to find out as much as I could about this movement practice, I discovered a guy called Ido Portal. And to this day, I'm just so grateful for his inspiration for this journey. He was really the fire that kind of ignited everything. And I found out that he was coming to Canada, or his team was coming to Canada to teach a workshop. So I was like, immediately got straight onto it. And that was the moment, I think, after I took that workshop, or during that workshop, it really, just made me realize that I could do this. And I'm not even sure where that came from. It was like this blind kind of trust that I had in myself, because I didn't know how to teach. I didn't know how to begin a movement practice, or how to start a business, how to market, how to take memberships, how to do anything. But there was something within that style of teaching, within that workshop, that was just so powerful, that really drew me towards wanting to be a teacher. So thank you so much, Ido Patel and the team, Odelia. It was Rach and Johnny as well in that workshop, and everyone that attended that workshop as well. There was probably about 50 or 60 people. Thank you, Anthony, as well for hosting the workshop. It was such a shift, and that was a really pivotal moment in my journey where I realized, hang on a second, I can become a teacher and I can start to share some of this stuff. So working in the brewery, I started to get this sense of wanting to do something on my own, wanting to create something that was truly mine. Because ever since the age of 15, I'd worked for someone else, and I would always put in 100% effort into whatever I did. So the first job that I worked at was at Macca's for a couple of years, and I progressed through the ranks at Macca's, just working so hard and really focused and dedicated on just always doing my best. And that's something that has stayed with me my whole life. And I'm not sure where I got that from. I think it's from my parents. So thanks, Mum and Dad, Roger and Jude. Yeah, just always working hard and doing your best. I think that if we can take that attitude in every area of our life, then our life dramatically improves. So working at Macca's, doing my best there, I progressed on to becoming a chef, and I worked as a chef for about 5 years, and that was just a wild journey in itself. Yeah, learning how to cook was absolutely amazing, and I'm so grateful that I've got those skills with me today, because I think it's really important that we understand how to use a knife and how to cook and how to provide for our family and our friends and just yourself to be able to cook really healthy and delicious meals at home. So if you haven't already and you don't really cook a lot, I'd suggest, there's so many YouTube videos, you don't have to go and become a chef and get that certification, but I suggest learn how to use a knife, learn how to cook different things, how to use different spices and how to create flavor. And it just really is a useful skill in your life. So I'm really thankful that I went through that journey. Pretty hectic working as a chef as well. I'm not suggesting anyone's sort of pick that up as a career, because for me it was quite stressful. But then moving into the brewing industry as well, working pretty much my ass off the whole time, and I just got to a point in Canada where I was working for Steamworks, and I just had this moment where I was like, hang on a second. I'm working so hard for this company, and I felt like I wasn't being appreciated for the work that I was doing. So this was another reason that I felt like I wanted to create my own path, to kind of move on to something else, just to be a creator and to have control over the hours that I worked, what was being said, the things that I was creating and delivering and the marketing and all that. It just felt really exciting. So for me at that time, and I suggest that you do this as well, if you're looking to progress or move in a different direction of your life, learn as much as you can, gain as much knowledge as possible in that area. So I remember working in the brewery, and I would always have my headphones in, and I was listening to podcasts, and I was watching YouTube videos, and always just absorbing all of this information and putting it to use as well. That's another thing, there's so much information out there that it really needs to be actioned as well for it to be powerful. Otherwise, it's just stuck in your head. So again, coming back to that sharing, when I would learn something, I would automatically share it with the world. So then that information starts to be embodied, and we start to develop this wisdom. We start to really understand it once we can embody it. Yeah, so I had this kind of moment where I was like, hang on a second, I want to work for myself, and what am I going to do? So the Movement Collective really could have been, it's a movement gym, but it could have really been anything. At the time, I was really passionate about coffee. So I was thinking and researching around like how to open up a coffee shop back in Australia when I come back. Or is it going to be a brewery? Is it going to be a cafe and a brewery? Is it going to be a combination of the two? Like, what do I want to do? And then after that workshop with Ido Portal and his team, that's when I realized, no, I need to be doing this, because there was a bit of a disconnect for me working in the brewery. I loved the craft. I loved coming up with new recipes and seeing the process. The process, if you haven't researched or understand the process of brewing, it's so complex. And it would be like a lifetime journey to understand and just to understand the whole process, and there's just infinite possibilities within inside that industry. So I really like that element. And but for me, it was I wanted to create something else. I wanted to, do something on my own. And I had that moment of like, hang on a second, this is what I need to be doing. And the disconnect for me with inside the brewing industry was like, I was working and I was passionate about creating new recipes and looking at the process and this constant learning and tweaking. It was beautiful. But for me, drinking was something that was kind of phasing out in my life, drinking alcohol. And the culture within inside the brewing industry was for all the guys to stay back after their shift and have a bunch of beers every day after work. And for me, because I wanted to go train at Origins and do my movement training and eat healthy food, and it didn't really match up. So the vibe was cool, the people were awesome, the process, the creativity, and all of it was great. The industry was awesome, but there was this disconnect that I felt like if I was to open up a brewery, then there was going to be a part of me that wishes that I was doing something more in line with how I'm feeling with inside health and movement and fitness. So it was kind of easy decision for me to start to move towards this idea of creating the Movement Collective. All right, let's move on to, like 2014 or something like that. I haven't spoken about this, I don't think at all, but Kat and Casey, my friends from back here in Australia, I actually reached out to them when I came up with the idea to start a movement gym. And this was even before I had the name or anything like that. And I was going to go in partnership with these guys. And we're going to call it Gravity Movement. So Casey wanted the word gravity and I wanted the word movement in the name. And we started to develop a business plan and we started to really nut out the different ideas and stuff like that and how it was going to work. And that fell through. And just feeling into it now, it could have been so different if we had taken that path and done this like joint venture. And I was just feeling into just then, like, it just would have been so different. And I think that's all I've got to say about that. It just would have been a very different path. And I'm not even sure, who knows where that would have led, or whether the Movement Collective would have existed or it would have been just Gravity Movement. Who knows? But I just thought that was a cool story just to we had this business plan, it was all drawn out, and then the last minute we decided that it wasn't gonna work out. So I decided to move in my own direction and just open it up by myself. And at the time that was kind of scary for me. I feel like approaching those guys to open up the business with me, because I really had no idea what I was doing. I felt like a bit of a safety net that I had business partners that could help me out, and I could, ask them for advice, or we could bounce ideas off each other, and the responsibility wasn't fully on myself. So there was a moment when I decided that I was going to do and open the Movement Collective just by myself, that maybe there was a little bit of doubt that came up. A part of me came up that was like, I don't know if you can do this, is this going to be okay? But there was this deeper level of trust that I had in myself. And seeing what the movement practice had done for my life, I knew that it was a no-brainer. I knew that it didn't matter what direction I took this, whether, I was teaching workshops or retreats or classes or open gym, whatever it was, that people just needed to learn what it is to move. And once they understood that, and once they were experiencing in their body how amazing this practice was, then everything will just take care of itself. So there was this deeper level of trust for me. So I guess that's a lesson for those people that are looking to change directions in their life and looking to start their own business, that, there's always going to be a part of you that doubts, that second guesses, and that also might be coming from external factors. I remember when I got home and I was going to start up, and it was before I taught my first session, but I got back here to Australia and my mum said, are you sure you don't want to work at like a Fitness First, or like, work for another company before you do this? Because it's kind of it's a kind of a big leap. And I was like, no, I got this. Because by that stage, I had really felt into that trust, that deep, deep trust that I had in myself and also the movement practice as a whole. So there was no way in my mind and also in my gut that this was going to fail. So I was working in the brewing industry and working for Steamworks, and it was around 2014, and I'd already come up with this idea that I wanted to start a movement gym, and I had the headphones in, and I was always learning, always looking at marketing and movement teaching and strength training and programming, because I realized, holy shit, I have just no idea how to start a business. I knew a little bit about movement, but what about the business side? What do I need to do there? So then I got on the computer and found out that I needed to do my Cert 3 and Cert 4 in fitness, even though looking at the curriculum and after doing those courses, it didn't really help me in what I needed to do as a trainer, because what I teach and what TMC is very different to what those courses were providing. But the reason I did that was for insurance purposes. I had to do those courses just to kind of tick a box, basically. And this is something that I would like to create in the future for those people that are doing Cert 3, Cert 4, is create some sort of course, like maybe it's a movement certification or something like that, that gives them the knowledge that's more in line with their passion, that's more in line with this style of training. Because that just wasn't available at the time. I did a bunch of workshops and had all the knowledge, but you just sometimes need to kind of tick some of the boxes to for the legalities, I guess. So I did that while I was working. I had my laptop and I was brewing beer, and I was doing my Cert 3 and Cert 4, probably still while listening to podcast and just doing all the things at once. I was just so excited, and I was just so excited to get started. And I just want to do a little shout out to Josh Pohl and Duncan White. So it was around 2015, maybe the start of 2015, when I first announced that I was going to open up a movement gym and I was going to be teaching one-on-ones. So after feeling into it and understanding that I was going to start this gym, I wanted to just do one-on-ones. That was my business plan. I didn't want to do group classes. I felt like group classes, the message would get lost, and everyone's an individual, and I had all these different ideas of what the business was going to look like. And I was just going to, basically teach one-on-ones, just private sessions always. So I just want to give you guys a shout out, because you kind of proved my ideas before I even came back to Australia. You guys reached out to me and sent me a message, and it really gave me so much more hope for the ideas that I'd created, because at that stage it was just in theory. It was all on paper. It was on theory that this was going to work, and you really showed me that it was going to work, that it was possible. So thank you guys so much for believing in me, even though it feels like you probably had no idea what I was going to deliver, because I had no idea either. I didn't know what I was going to teach you or how I was going to teach you. And I'm just really grateful to have you guys in my life. And Duncan went on to, he's a physio, and went on to run his own business and teaching movement, and running his physio practice as well, Transcend Health. And Josh Pohl as well, he went on to opening his own movement gym. So guys, I'm super proud of you, and thank you so much for believing in me. I'm getting all emotional now. Believing in me, because it made me believe more in myself. To have that, like that external belief, and it made it feel really real, the ideas that I actually had, and that it was going to work. So thank you so much. Oh my God, I'm getting so emotional. All right, cool. Let's keep moving on. So when I decided to open the gym, I needed a space. So what was I going to do, and where was I going to train out of? And there was a place called the Gorilla Pit and Shape and Size, and it was in Wickham. And I knew Stefan, and dude, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to train out of your space. So I just messaged him and I said, hey man, like I'm keen to start up this movement gym. I don't know how big it's going to be. I'm going to teach 1-to-1. I just love to use some of the space. Is that cool? Like charge me a weekly rent or something like that. And he was like, cool. Let's charge you $250 a week and I'll give you the first 2 weeks for free. And I was like, all right, that sounds pretty good. $250 seems like a lot. But because of Josh and Duncan, these guys had already purchased like a 5-session pack. I was like, all right, I got a little bit of money there that I can use to pay for the rent for the first few weeks, and we'll just see how it goes. And I'll just keep reaching out to my friends and family, and yeah, I'll just get some members in. I'll just make it work. Again, this like deeper level of trust, even though the parts of me were like, I don't know how we're going to do this. I don't know what's going to happen. So my business plan at that stage was to rent the space, $250 a week, get a few clients in, and just run PTs. And I had a little bit of money to buy, not a lot. I think it was about 12 grand or something like that. And I remember I invested it all into TMC because I had to get like the business name, I had to do the website, had to buy some equipment. So I just bought minimum equipment with the money that I had, like, some boxes, some rings, some bands, therapy balls. Yeah, just the general stuff to get things kicked off. So a couple of weights as well. And yeah, just to get me going. And the business plan originally was to just teach 1-on-1 sessions. So Josh and Duncan, and there was a bunch of guys coming in as well. And I was just going to do that because, like I said before, I didn't think that I could teach a bigger class. I didn't think that it would transfer well to a bigger group because this practice seemed really individual and everyone's at different ages and different levels. But I had this demand for like a workshop or classes, and people are asking about it, like, you're going to teach workshops, or like, how does it all work? And I decided 2 weeks in that I would run my first workshop. And I partnered up with Rich, a guy that he owned Core Espresso at the time, and he was going to provide some snacks, and I just wanted to make it like a really cool event. And he had coffees and drinks, and we had about 20 people show up to this workshop. I think it was about $20 for the workshops. It was probably the cheapest workshop that I've ever done. Well, it was the first workshop I've ever done. But I wanted to charge something. I didn't want to do it for free because I really saw the value in what I had to offer. And there was about 20 people in this workshop, and I was like, after the workshop, I was like, holy shit, like there's something in this. There's something in this group environment where people are connecting and they're playing and they're moving and they're sharing. And it really brought me back to that sense and that vibe that they had at Origins, where people were communicating and playing and moving and developing and learning and growing together. So I decided that I'd run another workshop, and that was a few weeks later, and I had about 20 people show up to that one. So I'm like, all right, there's something in this. Let's see if a class would work. And I think I reached out to a few people and said, would you be interested in coming to a few classes? And in the beginning, and this is a lesson for people just starting out, you don't need to provide and cover all bases when you're first starting. It's almost like that minimum viable product. Find what is the minimum thing you can do to have the biggest impact in the beginning with the time and resources that you have. So for me, I think I decided to do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. And it was just like maybe an evening class. I can't even remember. It feels like so long ago. But it was like 3 classes a week. And I developed some sort of membership where people would pay, might have been $30 a week or $40 a week, where people would pay a membership. And this seemed a better business decision in terms of cash flow, because the clients that I had before were PTs and they would pay like a lump sum for 5-session packages and things like that. And I think in the beginning I had a 10-session pack for classes, but I really think for cash flow in the beginning, and even now for a business, it's really important that we have this like constant money coming in every week. Because I know that if I get a lump sum of money and I'm like, oh yeah, part of me wants to like spend it all, buy new equipment, or, that still exists within me today. And I'm so glad that Jenny, shout out Jenny, who's controlling and in charge of the finances now, because I'm not I'm unable to do those things. But yeah, I'll just try to spend, and just keep pouring money into the business. But it's really pouring value into it as well, because it's always getting new equipment and upgrading and making the place look nicer and adding saunas and all these different types of things that we've done over. So it's coming to use. I'm not wasting the money, but yeah, I feel like this cash flow, this constant, weekly memberships was really great for, especially starting out in my business, that I could have some money to, pay my bills personally. And yeah, I'm just feeling into now, even a few months in, there was times when I didn't pay myself, when I had this membership coming in, but I had the bill for the $250 a week or website fees, whatever it was coming up, and I didn't actually have enough money. So with inside the business, and that was the most important thing. So I kind of paused my money that I was taking from the business at the time. I can't remember how much that was, but at one point I remember I built up to $500 a week, and I was so stoked that I was able to pay myself $500 per week. I was like, this is amazing that I've got this this money coming in and I can give myself a constant wage. But yeah, there was times throughout that, especially in the first 12 months to 2 years, where I would stop paying myself for a period of time, for a few weeks, to let some money accumulate back in the business, because yeah, basically there just wasn't enough money. And after doing the classes and starting to add them on, utilizing that minimum viable product, I started to get a bunch of new members. Maybe we had like 15 members, and yeah, it was mostly guys, and we had a few girls. I remember Sonia was one of the original girl members, or women, and Jenny as well. So Jenny started doing privates with me at the Gorilla Pit at Shape and Size, and then she, oh my God, absolutely incredible. So she was doing one session with me per week, and then also doing all the classes, and she was just absolutely killing it. So much dedication, so much focus. She progressed so fast, and she really puts it down. I've spoken with her recently. So if you don't know, Jenny's my wife. We got married recently, and she is the part owner of TMC, but she started out as a client. And talking to her recently, she said that the private sessions along with the classes was the thing that really elevated her movement practice, that really gave her this like exponential growth. So what I was trying to do is encourage people to do a private session and then do classes. So I had this like, I can't remember what I called it. It might have been like Ultimate Mover package or something like that. And it would be one private session and a bunch of all the classes, unlimited classes. And I found that the people that were dedicated to that could get that individual attention and individual help and focus from myself, plus the volume of the classes, was key to their success and their growth inside their movement practice. So yeah, if you're listening to this now and you're training at the Movement Collective, or you're training at another gym, like, what can you do to kind of utilize your time in the gym? Because having a coach, and I know on my journey, having multiple coaches throughout my journey and taking workshops and retreats and with all these different amazing movement teachers, I won't have a chance to name all of them on today, but yeah, anyone that's contributed to my learning and my growth, like, thank you so much. And it's just really important to get that individual attention and those little snippets of information that kind of can give you breakthroughs or aha moments to kind of move you into a new area of your practice. It feels like this portal moment where you can step through to this new realm, or opening up a new door to step into a new area that you didn't know existed, is really amazing when it comes to the movement practice, and anything in your life as well, like having those aha moments. And I think that is just fuel for that when you create this environment, or you put yourself in an environment where you can get feedback that's very particular to what you're doing. Same goes for my business coaching and spiritual practice as well. It's really nice to not only work in a group, but also to have that one-on-one attention. Huge growth and exponential growth can come from actually stepping in and dedicating the energy, whether it's a time investment or money as well. It's really worthwhile to do that. Okay, so yeah, after working out of Shape and Size and Gorilla Pit for around about 12 months, I decided that I think we had about 30 members, 20 to 30 members, and people come and people go, but it was around that at the time. And I'm like, all right, we're starting to kind of grow into the space. Like we're starting to take up more space than we originally did. And I just felt like there was, Gorilla Pit were running like boot camps and Shape and Size doing bodybuilding style training. And in the beginning, it was all fine, and then we started to grow. So I realized that we needed to find our own facility. And this was the first big leap that I took as a business owner. This was the first commitment, because $250 a week there's no contract, it just felt like it was just a really easy way to kind of step into it, which I would suggest if you're opening a business, find the easiest way to step in with the least amount of risk. You don't have to risk everything and quit your job and do this crazy thing. You can just slowly ease into it. And what's coming up for me now is if you're looking to change careers or looking to start a uni degree and study for the next 5 years, make sure that it's something that you want to do. So what you can do is find a mentor, find someone who's doing what you feel or think that you want to do, and make sure that it's actually in line with your values and your passion. Do you actually want to be doing that? So spend time with the people who are currently doing what you want to do to really feel into it and see, does it align with who you are and what you want to be doing in the future? Because you don't want to waste 5 years studying for something and realize when you get there, when you arrive at that place, that it's not what you want to do. Don't do that. All right. So yeah, we took the leap. So I was looking around for different warehouses and facilities, and I found a place on the next block. So it was in Wickham. So it was around the corner, and it used to be a boxing gym. It was kind of this long, skinny place. It was about 8 meters wide, about 30 meters, 20 something meters, 30 meters long. So it's kind of like a rectangle shape. Little office out the back, little mezzanine up the back as well, with had showers and bathrooms, which was good. And I think it was really helpful that the DA was already approved for a indoor recreation facility. And I'll go into the DA dilemma in a little bit, but yeah, basically it's this process that you have to go through council to make sure that the facility that you're working in is approved for what you're actually doing within inside that facility. So for that first facility, it was all good. It was all set up. So we didn't have to do anything there, which later I found out was such a blessing, because in the next facility, it was not the case. So we decided to sign a lease. I think it might have even just been for 12 months, and it was like just yearly. We could just have the option of signing yearly. I didn't want to commit to like a long period of time, and we had to invest in some equipment. And yeah, I just want to take this moment to thank my dad, Roger Cooper. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for me, our family, and also for TMC, because TMC wouldn't exist without you. Like the money that you've invested in us. Yeah, and I really, I'm getting emotional again. Yeah, I really feel like, that you've always believed in me. It didn't matter what decision that I made in my life, that you always were super supportive and just never questioned it. You just always trusted that I would make the right decision. So yeah, thank you so much for believing in me and also contributing so much to TMC over the years. Like not just the money thing, but just your energy, like having you in the space and you and mom, like thank you so much, mom, as well, for helping out with cleaning and, like fixing things and like helping out throughout every sort of area of TMC, and also coming to the classes as well. It's so nice to have you in the space doing the classes, and it really feels nice for you to be moving, and for me to see you growing and your body, moving and getting stronger and more mobile, it's really nice for me to see that you care about yourself as well, and that you're dedicating time to it. And yeah, it's just so nice to have both of you in the space and in my life as well. Okay, so yeah, with inside that space at Wickham, yeah, I've just got a few notes here, like 2016, 2017, hosted my first movement weekend. And it was this weekend that I'd created. So it was 3 days where I invited everyone to come to TMC. And I was doing coaching, business coaching with Alchemy at the time. And the idea of this retreat that we were on with those guys was to go, business retreat, was to go there and to sell out an event. And I had this movement weekend, Newcastle movement weekend, I called it. So I had this idea of hosting this event. I posted on Facebook and did a lead ad. So I had 19 people that were keen. And the idea for this event was he was going to teach us how to do sales calls, how to do script for sales calls, and how we could sign people onto the event that we had created. And it was incredible. And I called up all these people, and pretty much every single person that I spoke with said yes to coming to the event. And it was just incredible. It was like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of revenue for the business. Yeah, it was like over 10 grand, 12 grand, 15 grand. I don't know what it was, but it was huge. It was like this realization for me to go, wow, like why haven't I been doing this before? And this is such a good business model for us to bring people to Newcastle, to the hub, to like Movement Collective, to show them around the town, but also teach them kind of, our ways, the way that we practice, our culture. And we had people come from all over Australia, from Brisbane, Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, everywhere. And they all came to train with us. Actually, we had a guy come from Bali. He came from Bali. Oh, yeah. It was just crazy. We just had people coming from all over for these different events. It was just insane. And we had open days. We had Lululemon open day. They came out from Sydney and hosted this huge event where we taught workshops, and they had like a store inside the Movement Collective. We had different events. We had workshops. We had guest teachers come in and teach. And we're just starting to build this community, this vibe. We had play sessions in the park, and it really just showed me that all I needed to do was to do the things that I love to do, to show the passion for not only myself, but for movement in general. And people just it's like a magnet. People just gravitated towards that. I didn't have to have all this like knowledge, and I didn't have to have it all laid out like, this perfect business plan, because like I said before, the business plan just changes. And the reason that I think that the Movement Collective, or the reason that I know the Movement Collective has been so successful, is because we're able to be adaptable and flexible, pliable, not so rigid with inside of our teaching, not so rigid with inside the way that I live my life, and the way that there is some certainty that comes with it. And there's these beliefs and values and vision that I have, that's kind of like this North Star, that we're working towards something, but we're not so rigid and tunnel vision that we can't pivot and change directions. And I'm really open to receive feedback from the people around me, from my friends, my family, the members of TMC. We're always asking people to be open and honest about, what do you want? Because I'm pretty much just here to serve. And if I can do that in a better manner, or tweak things within inside of our teaching, within inside of our business to better serve, well then, that's perfect. So with open arms, like, let us know what we're doing, and how can we improve your life, and how can we improve your experience with inside the Movement Collective. Yeah, so I wanted to touch on this as well. So this is important. As a business owner, I didn't know that I was going to be stepping in and taking care of all these different elements of the business, because in the beginning it was just me. I was teaching multiple classes per day because the schedule started to build out. We had morning, midday, afternoon, private sessions. I was doing the marketing, the sales, the play sessions, the events, the finances, you name it, everything, every single thing within inside the business I was doing. And it got to a point where all the passion that I had and for moving and creating and running the business, it sent me on this bit of a spiral downhill. And I kind of had multiple kind of mental sort of breakdowns where basically I was just burnt out. And if you've run a business before, maybe you've experienced this where you take on too many things, you're working too hard, and I wasn't giving myself the love that I deserve and needed. So my health, my physical health, my mental health, my spiritual health all took a big decline. And the way that I used to kind of combat this was to go on a holiday. And I did this a bunch of times. I find it funny now, but at the time it wasn't funny. Because a part of me would just get really overwhelmed and just say like, that's it, that's enough. Like I'm going on a trip to Bali, I'm going to go surfing, I'm going to do all these things. And it worked. It definitely worked. But what I found out, like doing that was just a bit of a Band-Aid approach. It's like there's a wound and I've just slapped a Band-Aid on it and it's all good without asking the question, like, how did I get that cut in the first place? And why did I reach that level of burnout? And after doing this work with the Peace Timeline and starting to go on this like inner journey, this spiritual practice and understanding what's driving me and what parts of me are coming up and allowing that, that forced energy or this Mr. Success for me to just keep going regardless of my health, regardless of my state and the way that I'm living, start to ask those questions, which I can do now. And I start to ask the questions like, why am I doing this? Why am I moving in this direction and burning myself out? And I'm able to notice it now and start to bring everything down and start to slow things down and pivot and change and love those parts of me that are wanting to succeed and wanting to be the best and all of that. And that's okay that they exist within inside of me, but not always allowing them to, or never allowing them to drive the bus, of my life. And because I felt like at times I was just sitting in the back seat and those parts have just taken control and they're like doing burnouts and just like redlining it every day. And that only leads to burnout. And I've experienced this time and time again. So for me, going to Bali or doing these trips was a way of running away or avoiding those emotions that were coming up for me. Now I know better, but at the time it felt like it worked. I would go away, I would go surfing, I'd have a few bintangs, I would go out and party, and I would come back to Australia and I would feel like everything's better. It's like magically gotten better, but it didn't get better because I would just find myself in that same pattern, that same habit a few months later, and I'd be burnt out again and I'd be looking to run away, to avoid. So things have really changed now after doing this, like doing the work and communicating and understanding where those parts are coming from and why they're leading me in those directions. And now I can make better decisions. I can feel into my intuition, my gut, and make better decisions that are not only beneficial for me because what I'm trying to do is serve with the Movement Collective, with now facilitating men through trauma and healing. The more that I can fill my own cup, the more that I can give myself the energy and the time and the communication and the connection with inside my own realms, then that just starts to pour out to my community, to other people. And before it felt like I was just, pouring from an empty cup kind of thing. So that is, a really good lesson, I think, for everyone, because this modern world can be quite busy. We're being told to chase, to be busy, to be active, to do all those things, and creating this balance now. And I know balance is used a lot, but I'm after like reading the Tao and looking at like yin yang principles and all these different kinds of things, I'm starting to really embody that and understand what balance is. And for me, it's not these two extremes and going so hard that you burn out and then, taking a trip to Bali and resting and then going back to this level. It's can we find this like middle way, this middle ground where we're dynamic, where we're flowing between taking a breath, relaxing, also moving and growing and developing our character. All these things make sense to me now. Whereas before I only knew one or the other. It was like, oh no, I'm so burnt out now. I just really need to take a break and take a nap and to rest. And I'm not saying that's wrong. That's important as well. But how do we find that middle ground where we're not reaching those extremes? So that's a good lesson, I think, for myself. I think I just said that for myself to keep reminding me, but also for you as well. So yeah, I'd love to hear if that resonates with you as well, and whether you've being caught in those extremes, and start to ask yourself, how do you find that balance? How do you start to just relax into life and this non-action or non-forcing energy, allowing things to happen? Because for me, when I first started to understand those concepts, I would think that non-action or non-forcing, it was like, or peace, even that, the idea of like inner peace was like, oh, that was boring. Like, why would you want to do that? Because it seems so boring. But I really understand now that it's just so important that we have the capability of slowing down and understanding that we don't need to force anything, that we can relax and we still will work towards the things that we love. Because, for me, looking at movement, I'm not going to, if I start to find this inner peace and I can start to breathe and relax and it's all good, I'm not going to not do movement. I'm not going to not grow my business. All that stuff's still going to happen, but it's the energy behind it. It's this forcing energy that doesn't need to be there. All right. So let's take a look now at the next stage was we were at the Wickham facility, 17 Church Street, Wickham. And we were there for about 12 months, maybe a little bit longer. And what happened with that facility, there was a neighbor that was complaining about noise. And even though we had the DA from the council, we were only supposed to start at 7 o'clock in the morning. That was the earliest that it said on the DA that we were allowed to start. So we were starting our classes at 6 a.m. So there was a person across the road who kept complaining to council, and I got a phone call up one day and they said, we know you're starting at 6 o'clock. If you start at 6 o'clock tomorrow, we're going to come and give you a $6,000 fine. And a $6,000 fine every single time we catch you working outside of your designated hours. So I was like on the phone freaking out. I was like, what are we going to do? Like 6 a.m. is our busiest class. What are we going to do? So we moved the schedule to 7 a.m. We told all of our members. Obviously, a lot of people weren't happy about that. A lot of people left at that time. So I think we had about 70 members at that time. So it built up to about 70. And yeah, at the time, the movement training was it wasn't really well known. So I felt like every member that I gained and every member that I held on to was so much effort, so much work for me to like put it out there and convince them that this was the way they should be training, like to show them my passion and what it's done for my life. But the energy that I would put into just getting one person, it's not like just having a Globo gym where everyone kind of knows what it is the gym is, and they can sign up, it's super cheap, and it's like the barrier to entry for that, because it's known, is quite low, and everyone can just kind of go to that and feel comfortable. Not everyone feels comfortable, but the barrier to entry for that style of business is a lot lower. This one feels like, because it's niche, it feels like, and if you own a niche business as well, you understand this, that it's a lot harder to communicate the message, and also to get people and to hang on to them as well, because it's quite easy for people to go back to their old ways or to something that's familiar, because this feels really scary for a lot of people because it's not familiar. It's not really well known. What are their friends going to think? Like, is it a status thing? All of that stuff. Like, is it just kind of weird that these guys are doing handstands? What are my friends going to think of me if I start stretching in public or doing handstands and cartwheels again as an adult? Like, is this for kids? All this stuff will come up for them. So for me, losing that amount of members, it was like 30 members within it's like half our member base within inside like a few days. I was like, oh my, what are we going to do? So we started looking for facilities, and we found a place at Waratah. And there was a few other places that we looked at that fell through. So it was a few months had passed, and we're still trying to build the member base up. And we realized that we needed to get to about 100 members for this new place to work. So the place at Waratah, 13B Crescent Road, Waratah, that's the current facility in 2022. I'm not sure when you're listening to this or watching this, so we might be at a new facility, but who knows? Yeah, so it was a bit of a journey to find this place, and I had the help of my sister, Angela, and Justin, Angela's partner. And Ange, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Ange as well, to say thank you so much, because I started in, what year was it? Like 2016, I think it was 2017. I started TMC Kids. So it was a subcategory of the Movement Collective where we just taught kids classes. And Ange came in and she took over that business because it got to a level where I couldn't run both the businesses. It was starting to grow. We had about 40 members for the kids, currently at over 200 members, and we've been up to 250 members before. So yeah, thanks so much, Ange and Justin, for running TMC Kids, for growing it, for putting all your passion and energy into it. It's been such a wild journey through COVID and all of that, and I just thank you guys so much for taking on especially Ange in the beginning, just stepping in and taking all that responsibility on, for stepping in, because Ange is an ex-dancer and she was a professional dancer. She taught a little bit of dance as well, but she was stepping into something that was really new for her. So well done, Ange, for doing that. And I'm so grateful to have created something now that enables our family to work together. It feels really nice to have this communication and this connection with our family, with you coming, with Justin, with Jenny, with our little nephews coming in as well. And we've both got sons now, and I know that they're going to be involved in the community. And I just think it's such a beautiful thing that we've all created together. So thank you so much. So we found a facility at Waratah, 13B Crescent Road, and we were like, all right, we need to get at least 100 members for this to succeed. And after those few months of losing all those members, I think we built up to about 60 members or something like that. And by the time we got the facility, we needed to really pump the marketing. And I think that it was good that we had the new facility, because we had something to really advertise, to say that we had the new facility, and we had better like showers, and we had all these different plans to put saunas in, and eventually a cafe, and it was going to be a bigger space with different surfaces and flooring and all of this stuff. So there was a lot of hype created around it, and we did an open day, which was really good as well. And we reached that mark. So Jenny and I were heading away to teach. I think we're going to the Mentawais and then Mexico. I think it was that trip, to teach at retreats. And just before we left, we hit that 100 member mark. And I was so stoked to do that, to reach that target that we had set as a bit of a kind of, it's like a safety net. It's like, if we can reach 100 members, we are looking really, really, really good. So that was so awesome. And also TMC Kids was growing again from, 40 members up to, at one point before COVID, 250 members. So big clap, big shout out to Ange and all the team as well. We've built such an amazing team now for TMC and for TMC Kids. So just want to take a moment to say thank you for all the teachers. I won't name everyone, but you know who you are. If you've ever been involved in the Movement Collective, whether you're a member, whether you've shared one of our posts or messaged a mate about us, or anything to do with the Movement Collective, I want to thank the coffee benders. I want to thank MIC. I want to thank Damo, who, he really believed in us, and he started his business out of, and believed in himself as well. He started his business out of the Movement Collective when we started this place in Waratah, and he's been growing his business. He's recently moved back to Lismore, but he's still running MIC with Georgia and Alex. We've got Katie in there as well. And again, just like the other facility, we've been in there for about 4 years now, and it's just growing. We've added a Zen room with saunas. We've got, the physios, the osteos. We've had massage therapists in there. We've got the cafe, the coffee benders, and it's just creating this environment. The open gym has been going off. So thank you for everyone that's been using open gym, that's been coming in, and it brings me back to origins, that open gym vibe. And I feel that now. And that's really what I want to create. What I wanted to create was that vibe of people sharing and moving and laughing and playing. It's like that vibe of this adult playground. And I really think that we've created that. We have this adult playground now. And for people that are a little bit like unsure of like what we do, I wanted to kind of give a little bit of a rundown on that as well. We've got classes every day of the week now, except for Sunday. Sometimes we kind of allocate that day for workshops and events. We've got midday. We've got morning class 6 a.m. We've got 12 o'clock. We've got our Move Well classes, which is Parents and Bubs class, which is absolutely taken off. Shout out to Katie for running that one and Kayla for looking after the kids. That one is absolutely booming, and all the movement classes, everything's growing. And everyone's movement practice is growing as well. Everyone's training is just going like this. And this is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to create an environment where everyone feels welcome. We've got kids that are 2 years old all the way up to my parents who are training with us, and they're like close to 70. So we've got this huge diversity of all different people. And it just feels so good to be able to talk about the journey and just some of the lessons. There's many more, but I think I'll start to wrap it up. And just to think back about, this all came from an idea. I didn't know we were going to get to this level. So again, this is for the entrepreneurs. This is for the people that are looking to change their career. You don't have to have it all figured out in the beginning. You can just come up with an idea and really feel into it, because that's what it was for me. It was this deep trust that what I had and this idea that I was going to deliver was going to be really powerful. And you can see with some effort, definitely a lot of effort and focus and flexibility, pliability comes into it as well, as like being able to shift and change, but also having that North Star to keep working towards. We've created something truly amazing. So I might end it there. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope one day you can be a part of TMC if you're not already. And even just a message to the ex-members as well, people that have come and things happen in your life and you've moved away or something's happened, like reach out to us. Send us an email or send us a message after listening to this and reach back out to us. We've got a movement app which we've been developing and always adding programs to. We've got different events. We'll start to do more international events as well, and events around Australia. Like, there's just so much happening, and we've just got so much energy throughout the entire team to just give to you. So don't be shy. Reach out to us, say hello, and I hope I see you all soon. See ya.